What do you need when you're going to an automotive junkyard? We're going to answer that on this episode of EA40's Debrief. Hello everyone, welcome to EA40, and for this debrief we're going to go over my last time at a junkyard and tell you guys what you need to do to be prepared for one of those. So if you're not familiar with the series, basically I talk about something that happened in a previous video to kind of give you guys more behind the scenes. Since this video wasn't super complex, there's not too much to talk about in the video itself, but I can give you guys some tips as to going to an event like a junkyard pull-a-thon similar to the one that I went to. So I'll explain everything from beginning to end, and the first thing you need to be doing is following whatever junkyard is local to you on social media, because that's where they're probably going to explain when they're having such a deal. In this case, You Pull and Pay, the one that I went to here in Pittsburgh, they had their announcement on Facebook saying that they were going to have that deal coming up. So when that happened, I realized, okay, I have to be free around this time and I have to decide what to get, and that's the next thing to know. What are you going to get from the vehicles? The nice thing about You Pull and Pay, and keep in mind I'm not being paid by them to say anything like this, they have a pretty good website, and for each car they actually have a picture of each one. Just a picture of the front, nothing of the interior, the sides, or the back, but they have a picture of the front so you at least know that it's there, and you maybe know what color it is as well. So great, we knew of the deal, we knew which parts we would want. Now before we went there, we had to know what to take. The thing is, going to a junkyard like this, you don't need all that much. In terms of things you're not allowed, generally you're not allowed to have a welder and a grinder. However, a normal tool set, you're definitely allowed to have that. I feel like you could have a compressed air tank along with a compressed air gun if you had one. In hindsight, maybe we should have had something like that, especially for how difficult it was to try and remove some of the wheels, which if you guys are wondering, the wheels on that silver Saab, we were not able to remove them. They were on way too tight. Yeah, we had most of the right tools that we needed. Make sure you have at least a basic tool set and maybe anything else that might arise for removing some of the parts. And then once you have everything you need, you can go to the junkyard. You'll have to sign some kind of waiver, probably pay some kind of entry fee, and just exhibit some common sense and almost have fun. Obviously be sensible about it, but you're pretty much off to do whatever you need to do while you're in there. Make sure you have some sunscreen as well, because the day we went it was quite sunny and hot, so have some sunscreen, have some water too, because a hot day like that, you don't want to be out working on pulling cars in hot sun while you're dehydrated. That's just not good. If you're going to get a set of wheels and tires from a junkyard, make sure that the wheels are pretty good, make sure they're not bent, and make sure there are no cracks or rips or something in those wheels, because if that happens, that's a safety hazard. You don't want to be driving on something like that. Do what I didn't do and look at more of the vehicles in the lot that have the same kind of bolt pattern and can overall fit. Great, now you have all the parts you need, and now you gotta worry about carrying it. This is a part that a lot of people don't really think about, especially because the rules may or may not be super clear at the beginning if this is your first time. The rules for your local junkyard with the pull-a-thons may vary. However, like I said for my previous video, in order to get the lowest price, I couldn't drag the stuff. I had to actually carry it. And so in a case like that, you have to think about how you're gonna carry everything. It's good to be able to know how to package everything to keep it all together as you're carrying it, but it's also what you use as that packaging and carrying tool that can make a difference. In my case, at the beginning of the clips, you would have seen a bright orange strap that I was using. Probably not the best because it doesn't hold everything together and it's just not as solid, and everything just kind of ends up weighing down on you more. You would have seen another clip where someone else had like a rubber seal or something. That was a much smarter move because that keeps everything together, it holds it higher up, it doesn't sag down on you, and it's just a little bit better to use. Obviously make sure that you yourself can lift, don't want to hurt yourself doing something like this, but the tool that you use really matters. Speaking of tools, perhaps what you should do is call the junkyard to find out what the rules are, but the tools that you bring in, generally that doesn't count under what you have to carry over that distance. And then once you've carried it and once you haven't hurt yourself, then you're given the bill and you pay for it and all is well, and you just take the parts wherever you need to go and work on your car or do whatever. As far as the video itself, there's not too much to discuss in this one in terms of the behind the scenes stuff, except for maybe a few interesting production aspects of it. A couple things I want to bring up would be the introduction. You might have noticed the kind of theme of that. The family fleet is looking hopeless. On one hand, our Saab 9.5 needs a few things such as wheels, instruments, and more. To add insult to injury, the Audi A8 has a ticking time bomb in its air suspension. To remedy these issues, we went to Pull and Pay for their $70 pull-a-thon. That's right, if you can grab a bunch of stuff from these junkyard cars and pull it a few meters, it's all yours for $70. That was actually inspired off of a different YouTuber. His name is Rotashaw, or it's spelled W-T-U-S. He ended up having a similar intro for one of his FIFA forfeit videos with similar music and a similar voiceover style, so that's where that introduction came in.
This is Harold. He's been living the good life. He just bought a 20 million...
Then there was the font that you might see on some parts of the video, and I had that because I've been looking for a font that I can kind of use as part of my identity, almost like how Top Gear has their own font and other TV shows do. I wanted to do something similar, so the name of this font is called Excluded. I'm still looking for other fonts though, so if you guys have other ideas, please let me know. Maybe send me a DM, comment down below. I'd love to figure out what I should try and use. And then from the filming aspect, the part that got a little tricky was managing the different cameras. Now, I actually had two cameras with me. One was my main vlogging camera that you see me using right now, and I use that for mainly a lot of the beauty shots, especially because that one just looks better. But I didn't want to keep that one with me in the junkyard because it's just a higher risk of it getting broken, and this is an expensive camera. I can't afford to have it break like that. So for much of the rest of it, I just used my phone. The problem was that I didn't realize my phone was having an issue at the time that caused the video clips to get a little bit choppy. So that's why parts of the video might seem choppy. It was because my phone just wasn't quite up to the task. So I had to run with two cameras basically, and the issues with that also come into play whenever you're starting to edit it. When you have two cameras, they have different file formats and the files show up in different groups. So that means that you can't have everything exactly in order. You might have to wash through some clips, you're gonna have to look at some time codes, and it just ends up taking a little bit more time. Perhaps for those of you getting into content creation, that is something you gotta think about as for when you're using different cameras and how it shows up when it comes time to edit them. Anyway, let's look at some of the comments right now. First comment came from Glenn Quagmire, who is actually my 1,000th subscriber. No, that's not his actual name. He's private on social media, though we do follow each other and we DM each other every now and then. What's going on, man? I know he's watching this. He commented, "My back hurt watching this. Great content. Keep up the work, bro." Thanks, man. Yes, like I said in my reply, my back hurt again while editing that clip because that was a tricky one. That hauling of all the parts, that was tricky, I'm not gonna lie. My former roommate actually, Matt Schmoot, who said, "I'm eager to hear if the A8 air compressor works." I'll get to the air compressor soon, but yes, that was a backup. 6-Gear Auto. There's a reason why I didn't love react his comments here, and I didn't even reply on purpose, although I DM him all the time. We're good friends. He said, "Welcome back, LOL. Think I've still got the video of the Saab dying on my driveway. Also, rest in peace to 80's van. Wonder if the ice maker still works." The 80's van, there was no ice maker in it, so, or at least I didn't see it, so I guess that's your answer to that. However, welcome back, LOL. This is all why I didn't give him any kind of reactions, other than the fact that he's one of my closest friends. He likes to give me grief because I don't upload all that much, which that's pretty true. I just end up prioritizing other things. So anytime I'm back, he's like, "Oh, great to see you back." So silly. And I think I still got the video of the Saab dying on my driveway. I actually quoted him in my Instagram story saying, like, we don't talk about that here. But to give you a bit of context, it was a night where he was actually going to be leaving Pittsburgh the following day and basically going to Texas because that's where his family was moving and that's where he's at right now, actually. Well, so I was at his house pretty late at night, with like 2 a.m. or something, me, him, and his dad all talking and just kind of catching up because it was going to be the last time in quite a long time. So 2 a.m., ready to leave, car wouldn't start. Our Saab 9.5's AC compressor, it was starting to make some noises and stuff, but we didn't do the But we didn't do the due diligence, try saying that a few times fast, but we didn't do the due diligence in realizing that when that AC compressor is gonna mess up, that could take down the whole serpentine belt with it. So 2 a.m. comes, I'm ready to leave, car wouldn't start because the AC compressor was completely seized up and the serpentine belt wouldn't move. Long story short, I had to get a ride from a family member at 4 in the morning. We had to leave the car at his house to get towed the next day, and yeah, he still gives me grief over it. The car still runs. We had to bypass the AC compressor. We're still gonna try and get a new one installed, or perhaps if we get rid of the car soon, then it's just gonna be like that. But yeah. That happened. It's still kind of rough to think about because it was extra inconvenience to them, so that's the sour side of it. But I guess he sees the humor. I think his dad still does as well. They're a really great family. But yeah, he has something to roast me for a long time. If you want to be featured in comments like this, you have to be paying attention to my other social media platforms, because it was on my Instagram story and I think my Instagram feed where I said that if you leave a comment, you're going to get featured. So to everyone who commented, congratulations, you got featured. Now here's the aftermath of going to Pull and Pay and all the parts that we got. The Audi A8, we got an AC compressor for it and a couple other odds and ends such as an air vent and some struts for the trunk. I think we swapped in some of the other stuff. The AC compressor, we got that mainly as a backup because that tends to be something that can be an issue on those A8s. When the air springs end up leaking, the AC compressor has to work harder, it overworks itself, and then it stops working. So that's just something to keep in mind, that yeah, you can wear that thing out, so it's good to have a backup. Come to think of it though, perhaps that backup might be worn out itself. So we're gonna have to test that air suspension compressor and make sure that it works before we end up installing it, should the one that we currently have go down. Now with the Saab, the highlight part was the wheels that we got. And I said in the video that 2 of them were junk. The reason for that was that when we were in the junkyard, we didn't look closely enough to see that there were cracks in those wheels or rims. And we ended up getting those wheels, taking them to a local tire shop. We knew the rubber was bad, so we were just gonna get new rubber, and we thought that we could just have them mounted on those wheels. Unfortunately, the cracks were there. That tire shop noticed it before we did, and they weren't exactly comfortable putting new rubber on those wheels and putting them on the car. And you can kind of see why that's the case. It is a safety hazard and you don't want to be driving on that. So yeah, because of that, and it wasn't feasible to get it repaired either, it just meant that we couldn't use them. So 2 of those wheels just ended up just getting completely junked. The other 2 are basically spare wheels that are probably gonna come to use relatively soon. So that's the overall sour thing that happened when we were at the junkyard, or not really at it, but after we left it. The wheels that we tried to get, it just didn't work. So that was unfortunate. Right now I'm actually still even looking for a new set of wheels to put on my Saab, because I'm trying to find one that aren't so bent like the current ones that I have, and for safety reasons it's better to not have to drive on bent wheels either. So I'm still looking for some. If any of you guys may even have some kind of connection and you're in the Pittsburgh area, they need to fit a 215 width rubber, and the bolt pattern is 5 by 114.3 or something like that. So if you have any plugs on that, let me know. I would love to know. Finally, there's a question, would I go again to Pull and Pay? Absolutely. It was a pretty nice junkyard, which is a little bit ironic to say. Unless you're a car enthusiast, then you'll know what a nice one is. It was great to be able to find everything that I basically needed. If I were to go again though, I would have a better idea of what I would be getting. For example, I realized afterwards, as I was editing this video actually, that there were some parts that I could have gotten from other Saabs, including some Saabs that they currently have that could go into mine. Unfortunately, at the time of filming, they don't have any Saab 9.5s in their lot. I wish they still did, but if they do ever get one again, that's gonna help things a lot for me. But anyway, that's gonna be your episode of EA40's Debrief, telling you guys about how this whole process worked with going to a junkyard. I hope you guys know more about what you should do to prepare to go to one of these, and I hope you guys got a good insight as to how this video was made. If this is your first time here, thank you for watching. Please be sure to give me a follow. If you've been here before, thank you again. Please continue following, and I hope to see you all on the next video.